Hello and welcome to day 4 of Capture the Seasons Autumn. Yesterday, the focus was on growth and rest. And following on from that, hopefully you've had a chance to really think about which areas need a little bit of nurturing and you've had a chance to kind of give yourself that. So today, with renewed energy, we move forward into the whole world of colour in autumn. So I've called today A Blaze with Colour, and I think it is quite evident. Outside really is spectacular at this time of year. There are so many beautiful colour palettes and colour schemes appearing day by day. They're changing. So I really would just say to you, take the opportunity whenever you have to go out and make the most of it, because actually autumn can be very fleeting as well. You could just look out the window one day and think, wow, isn't that a beautiful tree? Oh, I'll pop out tomorrow and have a look at it. But actually, overnight the wind or rain can come and all those leaves will be scattered and on the floor before we've even had a chance to kind of go and appreciate them. So I really would recommend taking whatever opportunity you can and really grabbing it right now in the moment and going out and having a look and being inspired, because colour is so, it's not only just beautiful to look at and admire and be gathering information for design, but it also has such a message, and I think that's the other element that I'm going to really explore today. So when I go outside at the moment, I try to go at different times of the day, and autumn is such a lovely time to go out sort of early morning, because there can be these beautiful mists which change the kind of lighting. It's much more diffused and gentle. You can get these really magical moments where the light's coming through the mist and just highlighting things that are quite hard to see sometimes. For instance, in my garden, I've got some really big artichoke plants that haven't been cut down yet. And the other day I went outside early morning and there was dew just hanging off these beautiful threads of all the cobwebs that had been kind of spun between the artichoke, the long stems and the heads, and they were layer upon layer and layer and creating these amazing patterns. And actually I hadn't really noticed them before, but it was only with that diffused light and the glistening of all the dew on the cobwebs really highlighted those details. And the light was very soft, and the dried artichoke's heads, very different from the palette when we look at the leaves. So there's so many elements that we can tune into, and that's what I want you to have a look at today. When you go outside, just tune into whatever catches your heart, your attention. Whether it's a magnificent beech tree turning the leaves, or whether it's low down, maybe there's some beautiful sort of fungi or mushrooms around. There's so many elements. I mean, get right down towards the earth and you can see all the layers of leaves starting to pile on top of each other. You've got the browns, you've got the yellows, you've got the reds and oranges, and within each leaf there is also a huge amount of inspiration. So I've been taking photographs, and just some of them is something you might want to do today, just for your own reference or just to remind you of what you've been looking at. It's quite nice to kind of get quite close up to something, or decide to kind of take a big view of everything around you. And sometimes you can just kind of slightly blur your eyes, just kind of squint a little bit, and then you get this softness and it becomes almost like a patchwork of colour in front of your eyes, rather than trying to take it all, every detail in. Just allow a softness to come into yourself as you're walking around. Do ground yourself, take that breath and let it out. And that way you start to really come into your body and start to feel. And that way you'll be just guided very naturally to something that really is connecting to you in a slightly different way than really trying to search very particularly and trying to sort of, oh, I must get this right feeling. Just allow yourself to be guided by whatever it is that kind of comes to you as you're walking through nature. Just stop and take a moment to have a look closer. Even a leaf. I mean, I've taken some photos and they're in today's program. You'll be able to see them, but there's a few things here. So for instance, a very, very simple one, this striking yellow leaf against the dark of the ground. I mean, basically it's something you can take and then create a very quite contemporary colour palette actually. You've got the earthiness and then you've got that sort of striking yellow, and that can be used for so many things, whether it's your branding or clothing. As just from that simple one leaf on the ground. The background has some texture, but it is quite a dark colour, so you've got this lovely contrast between the bright and the dark, and that's a very big message also in autumn. We've got this contrast of light and dark happening now as we go from the bright sort of sun and summer, we're going into the more dark. So this is quite a nice imagery for that. But equally you've got these leaves. This is a chestnut leaf, and they go from this green and then they start just coming up with this amazing stripes of colour here, and eventually they'll curl up and go all crispy and brown. And as a designer, you know, noticing those textures as well as the colour is really important. Or you can look at something like just the whole overall of this tree here, those beautiful yellows and golds, and of course the reds on the wall here contrast against the sort of the natural stone. So it's not necessarily that you're going to see, you know, outside just in a forest or something. There's things growing over walls, over buildings. Just really seek out anywhere that you go, anything that's growing and changing. So each day you might just spot something new. There's something different going on with that. So here I've taken, and you'll see that again in the program today, leaf. It's interesting, I kind of was drawn to the patterns, but also the colours. I mean, they've still got quite a lot of the green fresh here, and I picked these out because just to show simply how one leaf can come up with a really nice, interesting colour palette. If you go from the greens and these kind of reds and a bit of this sort of orangey, rusty colours. This one, again, quite contemporary. It has the green, and then you've got the black with the almost like animal print, but it's on the leaf. It's got this lovely pattern with the browns and a bit of yellow in there. And this is a softer one, which is really pretty. It's got a lovely sort of softness about this leaf, which is I think sort of just gentle colours. And I think autumn has this. It's a beautiful time to get the contrast between very bold and quite gentle colours, but also just tiny little highlights of like a pink or something red, just to bring that highlight and brighten up the colour palette. And then we have things like in my garden, I have some really beautiful dahlias, which are bringing some real pops of colour, almost like fireworks, against all of those natural, softer or sort of more traditional leafy autumn colours. So things like the dahlias with these like bright orange heads. I've got a pink one here, and they work so well with the greens and this is dogwood with its lovely red branch, stem and leaves. And even things like my raspberries, the leaves on those have got these lovely ripples of red just tinted against the green now. So all of these colours can be so inspiring for if you're looking for ideas for your own creative work. And autumn often is sort of associated, when you're sort of looking at the psychology of colour, with sort of earthy, authentic, friendly, warm, exuberant. All of these kind of words fit in very well with autumn. And so when you're wanting to convey that through colour, this is a good palette and place to start with, because colour can speak to us. It speaks very sort of intuitively to us without sort of us realising it. So that's something I would like you to do today, actually, as the task, is to really decide to, as you're going outside, really relax, allow your mind to soften and just become very present wherever you are, where you've chosen to go today for your walk, and just feel into the energy of the colour and how does it make you feel. Is it a feeling of excitement? Do you feel a sort of fiery feel maybe when you're looking at the reds? Or, I mean, there's silver birches out there, beautiful silvery, coppery colours. All of those, there's a gamut of colour basically out there now. So you take your time to see how you connect to something, how your eyes drawn and how you feel towards it. Maybe take some photos if you would like on your phone, or just simply remember it. And when you come back, take a few moments to maybe jot down the colours and the feelings they gave you. So it's another way of basically finding your own way of connecting with colour, because then it really helps you see how colour can help connect to others. So if you are, say, designing for a brand or putting something together for someone else, you know that they have this language, and it's also kind of just, it's a really nice thing for yourself to do, to start to connect to the colour in a sort of more intuitive way, and then realise how that is actually, that you can put that down in words. And that is what I'd like you to do today, is maybe create your own affirmations. I've put affirmations in the other sections the other days, but this time I'd like you to make your own, and maybe based around the colours that really spoke to you today. So have a little go at that, and if you'd like to again just download the downloadable, you can use that page at the back and make your notes on that, and it just makes it much more personal. It's the same with any of the other days. Of course, you can write your own affirmations, and I do encourage you to do that. I encourage you to make them quite short, sorry, to make them quite positive. So have a go at that today and enjoy.